City maps, right? They show us streets, buildings, maybe some neighborhood borders. But what if a map could show us something more? What if it could reveal not just where we are, but how we actually live? That's the powerful idea we're going to dig into today.
Just think about that for a second. What if the maps we use for planning our communities, for building businesses, actually understood our needs, our ambitions, and the quiet economic pulse of our neighborhoods? It's a game-changing question.
Because, you see, our current maps, for all their uses, are telling an incomplete story. They give us the city's skeleton, which is great, but they're missing its living, breathing soul.
And here's where you can really see the difference. On one hand, you've got traditional maps, focused on physical things, roads, buildings, and political lines like wards or pin codes. But those lines on a map, they don't always capture the human dimension, right? The real communities, where people work, what they need to succeed, that's the missing layer.
So it becomes pretty clear, doesn't it? If we want our policies and business plans to actually work, to really hit the mark, we need a new kind of map. One that's built from the ground up, seeing the city through the eyes of the people who live there.
So how do we do that? Well, that's where this amazing solution comes in. It's a concept called the Livelihood Territory Map, and it's designed to add that missing human layer we've been talking about.
So what is it exactly? Well, a livelihood territory map basically redraws the city, not based on old political lines, but based on the real-world livelihood needs of the population. This lets you make incredibly precise, truly hyperlocal decisions.
And when we say hyperlocal, we mean it. In a super dense city like Mumbai, a single one of these territories might only cover about 500 to 1,000 households. So we're not talking about redrawing massive districts. We're talking about understanding the city block by block.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic, but how in the world is a map like this actually made? Well, it's not just someone drawing new lines. It's a really sophisticated process that uses tons of data and artificial intelligence to find patterns that our eyes just can't see.
The engine behind all of this is a powerful, proprietary AI-powered methodology. It's a unique approach to looking at cities, and it's the intellectual property of Sapio and ARC, who've blended data science with a really deep understanding of how cities actually work.
The AI chews on a whole range of data. It's looking at population density, the layout of streets and lanes, even the different types of housing, which can tell you a lot about economic realities. It also finds what you might call anchor points, like a busy market or a school, that act as the heart of a community. And then, all of that is double-checked with on-the-ground research to get that vital human context.
And here it is. This is what it looks like in action. You're looking at a piece of Mumbai, but it's been transformed into this beautiful mosaic of livelihood territories. Every single one of those colored shapes tells a completely different story about the people who live and work there.
Now, the AI isn't just making pretty patterns. It has two very specific jobs to do. First, it tries to make each territory about the same size in terms of how long it takes to get from one side to the other. And second, and this is the really crucial part, it makes sure every territory it creates tells us something unique and meaningful about the livelihoods of the people inside it.
So we have this incredible new map. The big question is, what do we do with it? This is where all that data turns into real-world decisions that can make a difference for both governments and businesses.
For governments, this opens the door to something called hyperlocal policy. So instead of a one-size-fits-all program, imagine launching, say, a subsidized job training course aimed specifically at one territory where you know that skill is desperately needed. The impact would be absolutely massive.
And it's not just for the public sector. The same logic applies to what we can call hyperlocal enterprise. A company can suddenly understand a market not just by the city, but by the neighborhood. Think about how valuable that is for launching a new product or crafting a sales strategy that actually resonates.
This quote really nails it. We expect governments and enterprises to become more hyper-locally intelligent. That's the end goal, right? To give everyone the tools to make smarter decisions that are actually in sync with what's happening on the ground.
Now, what we've seen is already a huge leap forward, but believe it or not, this is just the beginning. The road ahead for this technology is all about evolving from a tool that describes the present to one that can actually help predict the future.
And the evolution looks something like this. Step 1 is where we are now with these incredible AI-generated maps. The next step is to make them even richer with super detailed, on-the-ground data collected by people walking the streets. And the final stage? Using all of that amazing data to build predictive models that can spot trends and even forecast changes over time. So, the ultimate vision here is, well, it's huge. It's about creating a map that doesn't just show us a snapshot of today, but becomes a living, breathing tool that helps us actively design smarter, fairer, and more prosperous cities for tomorrow.
And that brings me to my final thought, and it's a question for you. Forget Mumbai for a second and think about your own city, your own neighborhood. How would seeing it through this new lens change things? What new possibilities could you unlock? It's a pretty powerful idea to think about.